Hello and welcome back to this edition of Daily Actives brought to you by Bootleg Macro. I am Dustin. We are looking at AMD. What a ride we have been on. If you just look at this card that we have here that we look at every single day, you can see AMD is down nearly 10.5% over the past 5 days. That is a rough go. I don't care what you're used to trading, unless you are up that 90% in the 6 months or 30% in the 3 months, that is uncomfortable because if you lost 11%, you've essentially lost half of the gains that we've seen over the past month just in 1 week, which is really that's uncomfortable. I can be honest. I can admit that. I am not in it, but I feel for those who are watching this who are like, oh my God, when will it stop? And if we look at the range, down here, what we can see, essentially the bottom of the range, and I'd be looking to be 173. So I think you could probably, I don't know if you'd get down lower than here at 164. No, you probably get down to mid 170s. Hopefully then you pause around 173, maybe 170 at the lowest, and that's how I'd be a buyer because I am truly bullish on the idea of AMD. Now, if we take a look at the raw data here, one of the things to really point out is that we do see we are negative on the rolling return for the past 5 days. It is interesting to see that this has been going on so long, so we do want to be really conscious of that. You can see that that started on the 11th of March here when you were at around $200. Essentially, you hit 211, 210, 207, and then you have not seen 200 ever since. You saw it on the 12th, but you've essentially been losing steam ever since. This is a great spot to buy if you truly believe in the long-term vision, especially if you think that we are underneath the 5-day moving average, we are underneath the 23-day moving average. The only negative thing that I would say, in all honesty, is because I still respect the 15-day, the 1 month, the 3 month, and the 6 month, especially the 1 month through the 6 month. Those are things that you would need to lose those for you to really think that this is going to turn bearish. It may take a sideways pause. It may take some time. It may have a picnic. It may be one of those stocks that you go, why haven't we moved for a while? But you haven't gone down. That's what's important. Now we're looking at the signal on the short term. We can see we've got the go short. On the intermediate term, we're still go long. On the daily, we are still go long. If we're looking at the short term for the sentiment, we are bearish. We do not see a confirmation on the intermediate or the longer term. If we're looking at the rolling sentiment as well, we do see that essentially, yes, we've come off this high. We started to lose some steam in January, it looks like. Really started to lose at the end of January. The end of January was an ugly period. Essentially, it must have been here. Yeah, it looks like this is what sideways momentum looks like. If you're thinking about it from a sentiment standpoint, we really are not losing very much relative to price, but you can see that sentiment is starting to drain. And this is really good actually, because generally this indicator is only going to get to max like 60 on the high side, and it's going to get max down to like 40 on the low side because it oscillates. It wants to be in perfect balance. It wants to be at 50-50. So if we look at where we are now, we do see an opportunity, at least for things to start getting better. And this is relative to the performance of what we've seen. If we look at the signals, we don't see any confirming signals necessarily just yet. We see 0 on the bull key 3. We only see 1 on the bear key 3. I do think that when I look at the big bull, the small bull, and the swift bull, things here, this just generally looks like a background of a bullish setup. Not necessarily that you're going to get bullish price action, but that like you're in the summertime. You know what I mean? Like if you think about the story of the ants and the grasshoppers, and if you don't know it, please go look it up. It's a great story. Essentially, what we're looking at here is we've got the backdrop, which is generally bullish, which is what the stock market is generally like. So we would feel comfortable thinking that this is going to continue. If we look at the weekly chart, we can go all the way back to 2020. This thing was at $90. Now we're at 200. I mean, yeah, it's been an aggressive ride. Not gonna lie. You could definitely, if you think about the fact that you were here in 2021 and you were here in 2022, there's no reason why you could not repeat here from 2024 into 2025. But if we look at where we would really want to hold on to now, we'd say that the low would be in the 160s. If we go below 160, we'll have to have a real conversation about where we are and how we got there. But from right here at the 200 level, or even the mid 180s, it's a good split. It's a good place to take a shot. Good place to take a shot. If we look at the sentiment, daily sentiment indicator, line is turning up. We look at the volume is starting to turn up, especially the average. Obviously, the price has been falling for a certain extent, but not too concerned about it. We're going to see that volatility is going to start rolling over. We expect that the correlation is not necessarily like raging positive. You know what I mean? Like it's more or less going to be a small S curve here, most likely, unless it's something that is just a strong continuation. But the size of these bars and the moves, I do not see them looking like this. I see them more looking like the moves we saw in January or even the moves we saw back in November. So I would expect that you're going to get a downward move in the volatility correlation, which means that we're probably getting an upward move in the price. Probably sideways like this, probably sideways a little jerky. AMD appears to be a little jerky in terms of some pretty aggressive moves on the weekly, even the monthly, even the quarterly, to be honest. But overall, right now, it looks like we have the wind at our back, and AMD has been on a ripper ever since. I mean, if you really want to be honest about where you think it started, you'd say October of 2022. This from May of 2023 until October of 2023, difficult period. difficult period. You can't lie to yourself about that one. That was a difficult period for a lot of people. Now, if we look at where we are now, there's no reason why we couldn't go back to a difficult period. But as things look, it looks like we are generally seeing some very good upward bullish momentum. So tell me what you think in the comments below. Are you long? Are you short? Do you like it? Do you love it? Is this even a good review? And before you go, subscribe to the New High newsletter. You got 25 stocks to your inbox every single Sunday. Stocks between $5 and $20 that are breaking out. Stocks breaking out to 1-year highs. Stocks breaking out to all-time highs. It is a great reading thing to get your whole trading week started. I'll talk to you soon.